Welcome to the Love His podcast. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Peter and Jennifer Emerson, the creators of He Rules the World. It is fantastic. It's something that you want to go see. It's amazing. You can actually watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on their website, but it's all about bringing the nativity to life in music in a whole different way. It's more like a rock concert. You'll hear a lot more about it, but we start out talking about where Christian media is today and the difference between He Rules the World and what's been happening in other places in Christian media.
Sometimes you see stuff, especially back-a-ways in Christian media, and you see people depicted, and there's something unhuman about that, unattainable, something, but you make it very human.
It's very human. We get to see Mary being told that this is God's plan, and we see her say things like, "Well, why me? I'm just a girl from Galilee." One of the parts of the show that touches me the most every time I see it, and I wrote it, and I'm surprised at how much I get choked up every time I see it. Is we have a song that it's called "O Come, O Come, Emmanuel" that depicts Joseph finding out that Mary is pregnant and then being visited in a dream. But can you imagine being told that your bride is pregnant with somebody else's child, wanting to do the right thing, wanting to quietly divorce, and then finding out that this is God's plan, and he makes this emotional transition from wanting to quietly divorce Mary into accepting the plan and saying that he's going to raise the child as his own with Mary as his wife. I get choked up every time I hear about it.
Oh my gosh, well, I'm getting a little choked up right now, to be honest, because it's so true that it's a little line in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
But to really dive into it and think about the humanness of it, the human emotion that would be involved, and all the thinking of the thoughts that would go through your head, and debates and whatever, there's a lot. And Peter, you wrote this whole thing.
Yes.
You're a genius, but very musical. You've done all kinds of stuff before this. It's not like you're just brand new on the scene. But how does this project for you compare to other things you've done?
Well, I can say that that I've been very blessed to have a very long music career as a performer and a composer, and primarily as an educator, a music educator, and that has really just given me the tools to be able to put this together. And the inspiration comes from I took my daughter to go see Trans-Siberian Orchestra a handful of years ago. I love them, absolutely. What's not to love? I mean, big show, great spectacle, lights, lasers, smoke, great music, soaring guitar solos. The whole time I was sitting there, I was thinking, that's fantastic. Maybe I can do that. And then eventually toward the end of the show, I was a little mad at myself. I said, why am I not doing this? And my whole thinking on the show was that Trans-Siberian, as much as I loved it, their show was really just about the spirit of Christmas and really didn't tell the Christmas story. And so I set out to write a show that actually told God's story in the nativity, and that's where He Rules the World came from.
I love that. And Jennifer, you come from a whole different life. You probably have a beautiful voice. You probably have musical talent because it's in your genes. But you're a lawyer. You've been whatever high in companies and ruling the roost as a woman in business. And so, how did you get involved in the project?
Yeah, musical talent is not my main strength. Yeah, so I a lawyer, accountant, compliance officer. So getting involved in a rock concert is not the natural progression. But the way
You might be the first one. It's possible.
I'm willing to blaze that trail. So the way that I came to be involved is that Peter shared a demo recording of He Rules the World with me, and so I've got a 9-year-old daughter, and I'm very intentional about what events I will take her to, let her see, what I will let her listen to. And it's really hard to find age appropriate entertainment options. So when I heard the demo recording for He Rules the World, I could just picture myself in a theater with her by my side, other families there, and just getting drawn into the music. It's high energy, but there's also, very introspective, emotional parts. And I just said, this is something I want to be involved in. Other families, other people need to see this and hear this. And I was just like, I have been very convicted since then that this is a different way that God wants me to use my organizational and legal and accounting talents. And so,
And she is great at what she does.
Yeah, I
So
bet you are.
we have very different strengths, but we complement each other.
That's cool. So you work well together.
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's always a good thing. And you've drawn in some really great talent for it too.
Absolutely.
Right?
We've got a world-class cast of singers and musicians, instrumentalists in this as well. Our featured vocalist in this is David Gashin, and he is most known for playing the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera over 1,300 times on Broadway and in Europe. And he's a really great, solid Christian man, and very excited to be involved in a God-centered project like He Rules the World.
That is so cool. And when he's up on stage, you don't know what he really speaks, right? Like he's playing the part. And so you don't really know. And it's cool to know that he has did it for so long, 1,300 things.
That's a lot of
exhausting just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and but so good. I mean, just amazing, and his voice is just incredible. So that's exciting because we see that all over with Christian media right now, right? Where Christian media used to be, what Christian media was, and then the game has certainly been elevated. And things that are coming out, like what you guys are doing, it's going to draw more and more people that normally would be at a studio in Hollywood or whatever. And I love that. And you guys are blazing this trail.
There is no reason to sacrifice quality for your convictions, and we're certainly not doing that. We also have Kim Sorrelle as an executive producer on the project, and he does our narration. We worked with a really, really great animation studio in England called Wonder Story, and they animated the narrated portion in between the songs, and Kevin Sorbo does the voice narration of that for us. Our future plans are, we just want to get this in front of as many people as possible. Eventually have a streaming product, perhaps, to get out there in theaters, and who knows, maybe eventually a screenplay to put it on in the big screen as well. But right now we have productions scheduled in December of this year in Waco, Texas, at the Waco Hippodrome Theater, December 11th through the 14th. So if you're in Texas, we'd love to have you. And if you're not in Texas, you can log on to Spotify and listen to the soundtrack right now, today. HeRulesTheWorld.com, Spotify, and all other major streaming platforms, Pandora, Apple Music, you name it, it's out there. Our website is HeRulesTheWorld.com, and we have a trailer up there. You can see part of the show, and some of the music from the show is up there as well. And you just want to get this message out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are gifted, talented, obviously, and you could be doing anything, anywhere. Why faith-based? Like, why is this so important to you? You talked about the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and going, why am I not doing this? Whatever, but you could be anywhere. So why is this so important?
I have always been a part of the church. I grew up in the church, and it's always been an important part of my life. But going through writing He Rules the World has really brought me closer to God, because of doing the research, and I'm going, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that gold, frankincense, to them by God, because they would need to use those gifts to escape Herod when Herod was coming after him to slaughter the child.
Wow,
I mean, these are things that it has just made my faith deeper working on this. So I've been very dissatisfied with just the integrity of the content that's being pushed on society lately, and this is an opportunity to tell a story that is worthy of being told, that should be told in a million different ways, and I'm just grateful that I can have a part of doing that.
Well, and it gives your voice so much volume, right? Like you can talk to people one-on-one, you can talk to a group, but when you are in entertainment, you don't know whose lives are being touched, how many lives are being touched, how many people will get to see this, how long it's going to be going on. Hopefully for years and years, this is going to be a thing, right? And so the number of people, the reach that you can make is huge. Is that ever overwhelming, or is it just exciting? Or
Well, that is absolutely our hope, that this grows and more people hear it. And music is so powerful, and it connects with us on an emotional level that reading about it or hearing about things doesn't necessarily resonate. And we think that, we think people who already know Jesus are going to love the world, but we also think that they can invite friends who perhaps are reluctant to go to a church but would go to a rock concert, and then they'll get to experience hearing about Jesus in a way that perhaps they haven't before. Maybe it touches them in a way it hasn't before. And we want to share that. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and the trappings of life. And this is a reminder that, the most important thing, the greatest thing, is the free gift that God has offered to each one of us. And we want to use our talents for something that, lives beyond us.
what a legacy.
Yeah, the show is not about us. It truly is about God, and we would love to get to the point where we get that out there enough so that I would even be happy stepping away from the show and letting the show live on in its own, because it really is about the message and not about us.
Wow, that's really cool. That is the best part to have, right? That it's just really about other people, the message, and about who's going to hear it. And it's also a message that is timeless, of course, but also I think to see something. Like we always think about, that something like this around Christmas, but it goes beyond Christmas. What did you say? Like,
we listen to it year round.
Yeah, we do, and we haven't gotten tired of it. So that is really good because we love it.
And another thing that the show is very unique, and you mentioned that, and we had people from all generations come to see this in Austin in 2022, and the grandparents and parents enjoyed it. It's got influences of bands like Styx and Steely Dan and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and that resonates with the
my age.
I didn't want it to.
It's okay. You can go for it.
It also, the younger kids are going to recognize melodies like Joy to the World, and that's going to be familiar to them. And we even had teenagers are very hard to impress. We had a 12-year-old say, "Man, this is the best concert I've ever been to." And he was like, "And that guitar was amazing." So just something Peter plays in the show.
Oh, that's so
Super
cool.
fun.
That's a compliment.
Yes.
A 12-year-old kid.
They are hard to impress for sure.
Yeah.
We will definitely take it.
Yeah.
So if you think of it, we are telling the story in a very unique way, because if you go to church on Christmas Eve, which a lot of people do, they have time for maybe 3 or 4 hymns. And each of those hymns tells a fragment of the story. Joy to the World is about the announcement of the birth. Away in a Manger is about the situation around the time of the birth. They're little fragments of the story. And I use these melodies as launching points in the story to go into new material. So there's a lot of very familiar material in there that people of all generations that are in the church are going to go, "Oh, I can hum along with that. I can sing along with this portion." And then the excitement comes in seeing just where we take that and how it weaves in and out of that to create the story. So taking those stained glass windows and lining them up in order to tell the complete story.
I like that. I'm so excited. And I would say too that because you go into how Joseph is feeling, how Mary is feeling before the birth of Jesus, everything that they go through, that sometimes as Christians, we're like, okay, well, Jesus was born, here's the manger scene, you put it out at Christmas time, sing songs that are just a piece of the whole story. And then you wait till he turns 33 and goes into full-time mission, or however old he was, 30. But this, I would think, would extend people's imagination to go beyond just that moment of birth. Would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really leading up into the birth, and what follows in the immediacy afterwards. Through the family escaping to Egypt and then returning to Nazareth from after Herod passes away.
Yeah. Which is huge. Part of the whole story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But not one that's talked about too much.
The show begins with a song about, well, it begins with just what is Christmas to kind of get you thinking about that. But then it goes into he'll rule the world, the foretelling and I mean, it basically starts in Genesis 3, where God announces after the fall that I will bring forth a Messiah. And as Peter said, all the way to the fulfillment of all those prophecies and the family returning to Nazareth after Herod and everything else. And then you get to he rules the world.
So he'll rule the world is the beginning of the third verse of Joy to the World. Joy to the world, he'll rule the world with truth and grace. And so
You look me singing, you've got a beautiful voice.
He's the one who sings.
we transition from he'll rule the world to he rules the world. The prophecies, the fulfillment of the prophecies.
Oh, that's good. That is really good. Yes, I think that this should be everywhere, and it should be on every kind of screen and every kind of stage. And I think it will be, because this is great entertainment that is rich, great entertainment, right? It's not just surface. You guys dive pretty deep in this.
Love it. We try to.
Yes, yeah, as much as you can. Well, you do. Yeah, what would you say?
Well, we had many families say to us after they see 2022, they said this, we did it the first weekend in December, and they said this was such a good way to start the holiday, the Christmas season. Said, I was kind of dreading launching into all of the business, but this grounded me. This reminded me of why we're doing this. This grounded me. This was the perfect start to December, to Christmas. And we want everyone.
That's good.
We want
Good thing
people
to
to walk
hear.
out knowing that, in the midst of a very broken, fractured world, there is hope and joy.
Right.
And his name is Jesus.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everything about this is unique and wonderful. And sometimes you get unique without the wonder. And so to bring the two together is pretty cool.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and I know it's going to do well, and encourage people to see it and watch it in samples and go to the website, see the piece of it they can see and listen to them music. And what do you want people to do?
Well, if you're in the Waco area in December of this year, come out to the Waco Hippodrome Theater December 11th through the 14th. If you're not in the Waco area and you want to follow us and keep up with what we're doing and look for future productions, go to www.herulestheworld.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at He Rules the World Show, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, for all the rest of us in the world that use it, as He Rules Show. And once again, we're on all major streaming platforms, so people can go and listen to the show today, right now, if they want to, by searching for He Rules the World.
That's so cool.
Waco's not that far from Dallas, and DFW or Love Field. They're very easy airports to get in and out of.
Well, there you go.
Come see us, whether you're in Texas, just come see us.
So how big is the venue? Like how many, you're selling tickets right now? Over the line.
Soon we'll be.
Yeah.
We'll have the ticket links up
We're
soon. But
planting the seed to sell the
exactly.
tickets. But so how many are you going to be able to?
Seats about 800 people, and we're doing right now. We have 5 shows slated for this year, but it's just our plan to get this in front of as many people as possible, so that we can expand for next year and eventually crisscross the country with multiple tours, or be in a place like Lancaster or Branson, Missouri, and be installed for 6 weeks over the Christmas season. we just want to go wherever God takes us with the project, and we're happy to do that. But we really appreciate being here with you today.
Thank you
Oh my
so
gosh,
much.
So great. Thank you so much for being there and being on the show. So remember this because this is so good. You're going to want to see it. And if you forgot the sites, I'll have the notes. But if you just Google He Rules the World, you're going to find it.